All right. Now here what we're going to do is the next part. So we are done with the graph part, guys. So we've successfully built the components for the LangGraph, which is node, state, and workflow. Now in scripts, we are going to create a file called as, or I think we've already created index.documents.py, and let us write this code. Okay, where see the thing is we have PDFs, right? And those PDFs now need to be splitted. They now need to be chunked, and because unless and until they are not chunked and they're not vectorized and stored in the vector database, how can we search, right? How can we search for the compliance rules? And that is what we are going to do in index documents. So let us get started. Okay, all right, so firstly we'll be importing OS. After importing OS, I'll be importing glob, which will help us read the file or access the PDF file that we have. I'm going to import logging. Okay, and then from .env, I'm going to import load underscore .env, and then I'm just going to uh, pass override as true. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll define document loaders and splitters. Okay, so from langchain underscore community dot document loaders, which will help us create document objects, I'm going to import PyPDF loader, which will help me work with the PDF files. Okay, then what we're going to do is from LangChain text splitters. Okay, I'm going to import recursive character text splitter. Okay, this is going to split my text basis the let's say spaces or whichever special characters are there, right? Not special characters, not special characters, but when there is a space, when there is a line break, basis that it will split the text. Okay, then I also need to import the Azure components, right? In order to import the Azure components, what we'll do is from langchain underscore OpenAI, we're going to import Azure OpenAI embeddings. Okay, and then we are also going to from langchain underscore community dot vector stores, we are going to import Azure search. Okay, all right, I think this is what we know as of now. All right, then what we'll do is we will basically set up logging and config, right? So I'll just say logging dot basic config. In here I'll pass the level, which is, let's say, logging dot info. All right, and then I'll pass the format. Okay, and this format is nothing but the format that we want our logging to happen, right? So this is the standard format. You can just get this from any documentation or anything. Yeah, so basically this is how it is written, right? Percentage, and then you have the level name. Okay, and then you have the message. Yeah, all right, so we're going to do the logging part, and slowly and steadily once we are done, so as again we'll do the same thing. We'll go through the code. Okay, I'll keep on explaining you, and then once we're done writing the code, then we'll go end-to-end explanation. Okay, that is what we're going to do. And then we create the logger object. So I'll just say logging dot get logger, and inside this I'll, let's say, call indexer. Okay, so we'll be logging under the indexer tag. Yeah, and now I'll create a function called as index documents. Okay, or index docs. What this will do is that it will basically read the PDFs. Okay, it reads the the PDFs that you pass from the backend or from the data directory. It chunks them and it will basically upload them to Azure AI search, which is the knowledge base, right? Where we'll get everything vectorized. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll define the paths. Okay. And what we'll do is we will look for data folder. Okay, which is relative to this scripts location. Okay, so in place of current directory, so what I'll do is I'll just pass this path. I'll say os dot path dot directory name, and then I'll take the absolute path as well. Okay, and in here I'll pass this. So what this will do is we are just passing the file paths for the current directory and the data folder. If you see here, we have this data folder also, right? And the data folder contains the two PDFs, and these are the two PDFs that we're going to chunk and we're going to upload to the Azure AI search. Okay. After this, I'm going to create a variable called as data folder. Okay. And in data folder, I'm going to join the path of current directory. Okay. And with the I'm going to access this from backend data. So if you see here, right, in backend in data, will be able, in the data folder, will be able to access the PDF files. Okay, that is what we have defined here. Now we're going to check for the environment variables. Okay, so I'll just write here check on the environment variables. So firstly, I'll just put logger.info. Okay, I'll just put a kind of a breaker line in between, and then I'll just say logger.info. Okay, and in logger.info, what will happen is, okay, just give me a minute. I think something got started. Yeah, so we don't want this. Okay, all right. So in logger.info, okay, first and foremost, we'll do the environment configuration check. Okay, if all the environment variables are correct or not. Okay, so we're just going to log them. First and foremost, we're going to look at the Azure Open AI endpoint. Okay, and we're going to get it from where? We're going to just say os.get.env. Okay, and from get.env, we are going to get the Azure OpenAI endpoint. I'll just paste it here. Okay. All right. This looks great. Now I'll just kind of paste it 2, 3, 4, 5 times unless and until we have every service. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So after Azure OpenAI endpoint, I want Azure OpenAI API version. All right. And OpenAI API version, and I'll pass it here. So we also want this one, which is Azure OpenAI API version. And then I want to check on the embedding deployment. Okay. And for the embedding deployment, what I'll do is in here, I'll pass Azure OpenAI embedding deployment. Okay. And after this, I'll also pass the name of the embedding model, which is what? Text embedding 3 small. This is the name of the embedding model, right? All right. After the embedding model, what do we want? We want the Azure search endpoint as well, right? So I'll just replace this with search. Yeah. And this will also get the Azure search endpoint credentials. Okay. After this, we also want the Azure search index name. That is also what we want. And I'll just pass the same here. So these are the things that we will be requiring in the chunking and indexation, all those processes. Okay. And then I'll just kind of do this here again. Yeah. Okay. All right. This looks fine as of now. All right. Now what we'll do is once we are done defining here, we're going to validate the required environment variables. Okay. All right. So now we're just going to pass required variables. And which are the required variables? Obviously, we need the Azure OpenAI endpoint. This is what we need. Yeah. We need this. I'll just hit a comma. Then what do we need? We need Azure OpenAI Yeah, we also need Azure OpenAI endpoint, right? So I'll just put it here, Azure, or we'll also take the OpenAI API key. Okay, Azure OpenAI API key. This is what we need. Then what do we need? We need Azure search endpoint. All right. After the search endpoint, we need Azure search API key. All right. After this, we also need the Azure search index name. All right. So these are the required environment variables. Okay. And if there are any missing variables, so we need to flag it, right? So we just need to say um, for variables in required variables. Okay. So basically what this will do here is get env and I'll pass the variable. This will basically check if there are the variables that we have defined here. It will check if that is available in the .env file or not, and if it is not there, it will store that in the missing variable. Okay, and if there are any missing variables, then we are going to log that particular error. Okay, we're just going to say missing required environment variables. All right, and here we'll pass the missing variables. Okay, whichever variables are missing, and then we'll again log the error. Okay, and we'll just say please check please check your .env file. Okay, and ensure all the variables are set. All right, and we'll just return. Yeah, that's all. Okay, after this, what we'll do is we will basically initialize the embedding model. Okay, and this basically turns your text into numbers, right? Or text into numbers or vectors, whatever. Okay, all right, and this much must match the model that you have defined in Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so make sure that it matches with Azure AI Foundry, whatever you have put. Okay, so firstly, I'll just say logger.info. Okay, and I'll just say initializing Azure Open AI embeddings. Okay, this is what I'll initialize. Okay, once this is done, it will read for those embeddings. Okay, I'll call the Azure OpenAI embeddings, and in here I'll create a variable called as Azure deployment. Okay, and in here I'll pass this one, which is this particular thing, wherein we will just pass. We want the credentials to be taken from here, which is os.getEnv. We want we wanted to access the name of the embedding model. Yeah, that is what we want. Okay, and after this, I also want the endpoint, right? So I'll just create a variable called as Azure endpoint. I'll just say os.getEnv, and again here I'll pass Azure OpenAI endpoint. Okay, after this, I'll pass the API key. Okay, and in the API key, I'll again pass os.getEnv. Okay, and in here, so in API, okay, what is happening? Okay, just give me a minute. I think I'm clicking something by mistake. Yeah. So in API key, so obviously we'll be just passing the Azure OpenAI API key. Okay, and then the OpenAI API version. Okay, and this I'll just get it from here. Okay, where do I get? Have I defined it? Yes. Okay, I'll define it from here. No, I just want this one. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine. And if not, then we'll take the version as what? We'll take the version as this one, which is which is 2024 0201. This version will take. Okay. All right, this looks good. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do logger.info. Okay, and in here I'll just say that embeddings model is initialized successfully, which means whatever was required, right, whichever variables were required to embed or convert the text into embedding vectors, so we have successfully accessed that and the things are done. Okay, and after try, I'll just pass the exception block as well. So accept exception as E, and I'll just log the error if I get any. Okay, I'll just say failed to initialize embeddings. Okay, and then we'll just pass the error, and then again I'll say logger.error. I'll just say please verify your Azure OpenAI deployment name and endpoint. All right, looks good. And yeah, just going to return the same thing. Yeah. All right, now what we'll do is we'll initialize the Azure search. Okay, that is what we're going to initialize. We're going to do the same thing now. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy paste the same try except block here and just made the required changes. Okay, so here what we'll do is instead of initializing Azure OpenAI embeddings, we'll say initializing Azure AI search vector store. Okay, that is what it will be initializing. Okay, and for this we'll be needing different things. Okay, for we don't need Azure deployment, we need the Azure search endpoint. First and foremost we'll be needing that. So instead of this thing, I'll just remove this. Okay, and I'll replace this with Azure search endpoint. Okay, after that we need Azure search key. Okay, we don't want that, we need Azure search key, and in here I'll just pass Azure search API key. All right, and then in here I'll just pass index name. Okay, this index name is the same index name that you have defined inside the .env variables. Yeah, so nothing changes in here. So index name equals to index name, and then embedding function, I'll just remove this. Okay, so embedding function equals to embeddings dot embed query. All right, this looks fine. Okay. All right, I think as of now this pretty much looks fine. Okay, and then in just exception we need to change, so it will say fail to initialize Azure search. Okay, and we'll just say please verify your Azure search endpoint. Okay, API key and the index name. That is what we're going to put here, and we're going to return the same thing. Okay, all right, so we are done till here. I think this is, I'll just put this try in this line. Yeah, okay, I think it looks fine now. Okay, all right, this looks good. And now what we're going to do is Azure search is done. Azure search vector store, I think this looks fine. And okay, embeddings.embed query, and here, okay, here I need to change, right? So I need to write, I'll just say vector store initialized for the index, and which index will take the index name here as well. Okay. Okay, I'll just put a f string also here. Yeah, I think this looks better as of now. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the PDF files, right? So once we are done till here, we need to find the PDF files, right? Because that is what will get vectorized, right? So I'll just say find PDF files. So I'll create a variable called as PDF files, and I'll say glob. Okay, and then I'll just pass the path in here from where it needs to read the file, which is data folder, and it will search explicitly for a variable or a file name that ends with PDF. Okay, and it will extract the PDFs. If there are no PDF files, if it does not find any PDF files, first and foremost we're going to log it. Okay, so we're going to say logger.warning, and we'll just say no PDFs found in the data folder. Okay, so please add files. All right, so obviously if there are no PDFs, then we need to do this thing, right? And if we find the PDF files, we also need to see how many PDF, we also need to log how many PDF files we found, right? So we'll just say logger.info, and we'll just pass in how many files were found. So I'll just say found. I'll apply a len function simply on the PDF files. It will exactly tell me how many PDF files were passed or found, right? So we found these many PDFs to process. Okay, and then I'll just take the base name also. Okay, and just apply a simple list comprehension. Okay, so I'll just say yeah, so for f in PDF files, okay, it will take the base name of that particular file, and these many files we have gotten to process as of now. Okay, all right. Now what we'll do is we'll create a empty list called as all splits, and this is where we'll be storing our chunks. Okay, and if you know, right, chunks are important. Your documents are chunked. Okay, and then the entire vector, all of the process happens later, right? So we need to process each PDF, okay, that we have right now. Okay, so I'll just say for PDF path in PDF files. Okay, firstly we'll try to okay, I think there's an issue. All right, so first and foremost I'll just try to perform logging. I'll just say loading, which means it will start loading the PDF files. Okay, I'll just say base name. So base name is like whichever PDF files we are extracting, so it will take that. Okay, and yeah, so firstly it will start loading the files. Okay, and then we'll create the loader object. Okay, wherein we'll pass all the PDF files that we have, we'll pass them through the PyPDF loader, and we'll create the loader object. Once we have created the okay, we'll perform loader, and this is where we'll create the loader object with loader.load. Okay, once we have loaded this, now we'll do the chunking strategy. Okay, in chunking strategy, I'll firstly use the recursive character text splitter, and in recursive character text splitter, I'll give the chunk size as 1000, and I'll keep the chunk overlap as, let's say, 200. This is what I'm going to this is the text splitter, and this is the chunking strategy. So I need a single chunk of 1000 characters. Okay, and then I'll use text splitter dot split documents. Okay, and I'll pass those document objects. Okay, those raw docs that are created here, those document objects. Okay, we're going to perform apply text splitting, and we're going to store this in splits. Okay, so here we'll be basically having all the chunks. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll kind of apply a for loop on these splits. Okay, and then from every I'll just place split dot metadata. Okay, we are going to take the source. Okay, and we'll just say os.path.base name and PDF path. So this is nothing but the metadata, right? So if I look at the source is nothing but from where, what is the name of the file from where we have got it. That is basically the source of the file. Okay. And whatever splits we are getting, we need to extend, we need to add all of them, right? So we don't do appending here, we can extend, right? So we'll just say all splits dot extend. Okay, and we're just going to extend all these splits above. We're going to append all of them, and we're just going to log the same. Okay, so I'll just say logger.info. Okay, and I'll say it was splitted into the length of chunks. So we also need to know how many chunks were created, right, of the PDFs. Yeah, so these many chunks were created. All right. Sorry, not chunks, they should be splits. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is the try. And if you see again, it is going to apply, it is going to load, then it is going to perform text splitting, then it is going to upload the chunks. And then what we'll do is we're going to write except exception as E. Okay. And then I'll again log the error. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll say failed to process. Okay, we'll take the PDF path. All right. And if there's an error, it will also say that at that particular PDF path, what was the error that we got. Once we have created the splits or the chunks, we need to upload that to Azure. All right. So upload to Azure now. All right. So if all the splits, so if we now have all the splits, we are going to do logger.info, where we are going to basically upload all the splits. So we're going to take the length of all the splits. So how many splits are available, right? We're going to take all of those. Okay. So we'll see that we are basically uploading all these chunks to Azure AI search index. All right. And we'll also pass the index name. Okay. All right. This looks fine. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll apply a try here. Okay. So I'll say try. Okay. So basically when it comes to your Azure search, it accepts the batches automatically. So Azure search accepts batches automatically via this method that we're going to define. Okay, now, all right. So first and foremost, we're going to say vector underscore store dot add underscore documents. Okay. And which all documents do we want to add to the vector store? Nothing but all the splits that we have created. So we'll be basically taking all the splits and we'll be adding them to the vector store. Okay. And then we'll log it. Okay. So I'll just put it here. Yeah. So we're going to log it. After that, we're going to say logger.info. Okay. We're going to say indexing complete. Okay. Once this is done, indexing complete, knowledge base is ready. All right. Now, once this is done, what we're going to do is we're also going to log the chunks, right? So we also need to understand how many chunks were created or chunks were indexed. I won't say created, how many were indexed, right? That is nothing but the length of all the splits. So these many chunks got indexed. Okay. After this, I'll again just put this one. Yeah. Okay. And I'll just put an exception here. So except exception as E. Okay. And then I'll just put logger dot error. Okay. And then I'll just say failed to upload the documents to Azure search. Okay, and it will also show what error did we get. And then we'll just say logger.error. Okay, and it will again say please check the Azure search configuration and try again. Okay, that is what it will tell us. Okay, all right. This is fine. This is fine. So if this will happen, then okay. Else what we'll do? We'll just put a warning. Okay, logger dot warning that no documents were processed. Okay, and we'll just put this in the end. Okay, so if yeah, the standard one. Okay, uh, sorry, yeah. And we'll just say index docs. Oh, not this one, sorry. Yeah, I think this has to be in line with the function. Sorry, yeah, correct. I'll just pass in here index docs. All right. Okay, all right, looks fine to me right now. All right, okay. So we have successfully created the index documents code. You can see it was a bit on the heavier side, right? It was too much. But yeah, this is, all these things are, important, if you are typically working or performing indexing, right? Okay, all right. So if you look closely, yeah, there are a lot many things happening. Okay, so first and foremost we'll be using glob, right? Glob will be helping us to find the files required on our computer on our in our local directory. We're also using PyPDF loader. It's a you can think of this as a specialized library that can open and read the PDF files. Okay, a recursive character text splitter, you can think of something that cuts or chunks your or splits your text into small portions. Okay. Obviously, because AI cannot read everything at once, right? We need to send chunks, right? And obviously, the embeddings and vector stores is something that you already know about it, right? Okay. After this, we're going to create a function called as index documents. Okay, and this function basically calculates where, as in our case, in backend in data folder, where exactly the folder is, no matter where you run the script from, right? That is what this will do. It will search for the paths. Okay. After that, we have just basically passed which all required variables do we want, and it is just going to this is just going to look for all the required endpoints, and it is going to show the required variables. Okay, all right. Uh, After this, I think the important part is this is fine. This is just we are just going to. This is a simple part, where you're just trying to look for the credentials in the .env variables. Okay, this is where you start looking for the PDF files, right? It basically scans through your data folder and looks or creates a list of every file that ends in .pdf. Okay. Um, all right, this is what it does. Okay. And then basically we are going to iterate over every PDF file that is available in that PDF path. Okay. And then we're going to create chunks. Okay. If you see here, we're going to create chunks by applying the recursive character text splitter. Obviously, we're going to load that PDF. We're going to create the document objects. And once we have created the document objects, we're going to split. We're going to split basis the chunk size of 1000 and overlap of 200 to maintain the contextual understanding, right? All right. And after this, so if I look at this one, right? So what it does, okay, so it stamps each chunk with the file name. So every chunk that you will create, every chunk will have the file name or the PDF from which the chunk was created. All right. So basically, this will help the AI understand where it found the answer. For example, it found it in the compliance document on page number 5, all of that. Okay. And after this, we are just going to upload all the splits to Azure, right? That is what we're going to do here. Yeah. It basically sends all the prepared chunks to Azure AI search, and Azure is now going to receive the text. It is going to use the embedding model to convert that into numbers, and it is going to search. It is going to save it in a searchable index, right? So that is what it is going to. That is what this indexing is going to do. All right. So yeah, so that was about the indexing documents code. Yeah. Again, you can see we are trying to look at the every nitty gritty, right? We are trying to write the code in such finesse that we kind of really think that this is some production grade application. Okay. All right, let's move to the next part. Okay, and in the next part, we will define the video indexer part as well. All right, let's move to the next part.